Previously on Voolenvine.
But Dennis's Rift Pullover, a pattern by Jared Flood, or Brooklyn Tweed, I should say. It's a slog. It's like carving a sweater. Beautiful yarn, just so difficult to work with. I'm really on the fence with it. Hey guys, I'm Kristin, also known as Voolenvine, here on my YouTube channel and pretty much everywhere on the interwebs, on Ravelry and Instagram, where I am most active when it comes to social media. And as always, I'm so happy that you're taking some time out of your day to chat about all things knitting, sewing, or whatever crafty rabbit hole I happen to be diving down. And yeah, today it is primarily knitting, so I hope you guys are game for that. I do have a couple of announcements before I get into what I've been making this week, so I hope you guys are sitting down, preferably with some knitting, a tasty beverage of choice, and pull up a chair, gather around, let's chat. Anyway, yeah, the first announcement is that we are quickly coming up upon 300 episodes of this channel, which is insane. So, and very exciting, you guys. I'm pinching myself. And if you were just joining me, first of all, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the YouTube channel. I'm so happy that you're here. But yeah, I actually started out as an audio podcaster about, I want to say, in about 2009 or 2010, I started the audio podcast, and then about a year and a half later, I transitioned to video because I wanted to be able to share with you visually what I've been working on. And yeah, the whole point of me starting a podcast was being able to connect with the knitting community, and basically all of my immediate friends in real life had no idea what I was talking about anytime I talked about knitting. It was like, what sorcery is she chatting about? So anyway, yeah, that is why I decided to start a podcast and then this YouTube channel. So, and it blows my mind what has come of this podcast. It's just 300 episodes later, 20K subscribers later, I can't even. So, that definitely calls for a very special giveaway to celebrate. I know I mentioned when we hit 20K subscribers that I did want to do a giveaway, and I still do. I am. It's just been a little bit crazy around here. So, but I do have a really awesome giveaway that I am planning and putting together for you guys, because I want to, just as a really huge thank you for tuning into my podcast every week and sticking with me. And even if you are a new viewer, just thank you. If I could give you all a puppy, I would do that. Or if you're a knitter or a sewer, you probably don't want a puppy, you want yarn. So, you get a yarn haul. You get a yarn haul. You get a yarn haul. Anyway, I digress. I'm in rare form today. I've had way too much caffeine. But anyway, I'm very excited for the 300th episode. So stay tuned. I will talk more about giveaway prizes in coming episodes leading up to the 300th one. So anyway, you guys are amazing, and I'm just so excited. But if you are trying to scour the interwebs for those back audio episodes, I have very sad news. I made a huge rookie mistake when I started the podcast, and I did not back up my audio files for episodes, I want to say 1 through 50. Yeah, I know. But when I switched hosts from, when I stopped recording audio and switched over to video, I canceled my subscription to that host, and then of course all the audio files that were uploaded to that channel, to that host, got lost into the ether. So they are no more, sadly. But the good news is you are not missing out on much, because when I started podcasting, it was horrendous. It was not. They were really horrible episodes, and if I can put it in a nutshell, I basically sounded like Ben Stein. Very monotone, no personality whatsoever. I was basically shaking in my boots while talking into a microphone to myself, basically. But yeah, here we are on YouTube. 9 years later, I guess, which is crazy. So yeah, very, very excited for the 300th episode, and yeah, so stay tuned for that. And then we also have the Forest Pig Mitt Knit Along, and that is a knit along that I'm co-hosting with my friend Nina of the This Old Knit podcast. That is still going on, and if you'd like to join in, I guess there's still plenty of time to hop on board. So if you'd like to join, hop on over to Ravelry and join Nina's and my own podcast groups on Ravelry. And there's plenty of conversation going on in there. People have already finished their Forest Pig Mittens, and that is a pattern by, it's not called they are not called Forest Pig Mittens. It's just a nickname that we gave it because one of the motifs looks like a forest pig, as coined by Ellie of the Skein Knits podcast. Yeah, so we are lovingly calling it the Forest Pig Mitten Knit Along. But the actual name of the pattern is called the Way Through the Woods Mittens, a really beautiful pattern, colorwork pattern by Erica Mount. So hop on over, double dip in both of our groups. We're both giving away prizes, which are still TBD, but they are going to be fun nonetheless. So do join in, and yeah, I'm so looking forward to seeing all of your FOs in that thread. And yeah, sadly, my as if you follow the podcast, you know, if I just kind of lose interest in a pattern or lose steam on it, I don't finish it. There's like, I need to enjoy what I'm working on. Otherwise, I just don't see the point. And not that there's anything wrong with the pattern itself. It's a beautiful, wonderfully written pattern. My heart's just not in it anymore. And so I'm not saying I'm never going to finish them. I'm just kind of giving them a time out for the time being. So right now, I just kind of want to finish some sweaters that are on the needles and some other projects. And that's where my heart is right now. So, but I nonetheless have been having so much fun watching all of your progress and your photos that you've been sharing in that thread. And again, feel free to double dip into my group and Nina's group to enter to win to double your chances of winning a giveaway prize. So yay! Okay, so I think that is it for announcements. I am going to move along into what I've been making this week, but first, just a quick word from my amazing sponsor, Skillshare.
Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes in design, business, tech, and more, even sewing and the fiber arts. I love learning new things when it comes to knitting, sewing, photography, or whatever crafty rabbit hole I happen to be diving down. And because I know you love learning new things too, I partnered up with Skillshare, and they are offering my viewers 2 months free to try their platform. So give Skillshare a go and learn something new. Just click on the link in the description box below, entering the code at checkout, and enjoy. And thanks, Skillshare.
And welcome back. Okay, let's talk finished objects because you guys, I have another finished object to share with you. This is the second week in a row where I have a finished object to share with you, and crazy sauce, guys, crazy sauce, because rarely is it that I have 2 finished objects in a row to share with you, but this new finished object is a pattern of my own design. Sparkilng Cider Hat, guys. I posted about this on Instagram yesterday. I gave you a sneak peek of it, but here's a close-up of it, and if you can see, there are actually little beads knitted into the hat to kind of add a little sparkle. And the yarn is actually my hand-dyed yarn, Voolenvine yarns, 2 strands of 2 bases held together actually. So one of them is my Wolke base, which is a fingering weight merino nylon cashmere blend, which is like buttered kittens, as I say every week. And my Ghostlace base, which is silk and it's a silk and mohair blend lace weight. So that's what's giving it this insane halo effect around it. So I'm really, really happy with the way it turned out. And I was actually inspired to cast this on by Caroline, who is the host of the Knitting Vicariously podcast. She's also Dunder Knit. She knit a no frills pullover by Petite Knits using the same bases held together. And she showed it to me in person. I was just like, I fell in love with it. And I was immediately like, I want to knit something with those yarns together. How have I not done so in the past? So over the weekend, I had the yarn, and I was thinking how I wanted to come up with a holiday pattern or a holiday inspired pattern using those 2 bases together. And I was browsing some stitch dictionaries, and I had some beads on my desk, and the planets aligned, and it all just came together so well. And yeah, just over the weekend, I whipped this little puppy up, and it kind of does look like a puppy. Feels like I'm petting a puppy. I'm just so happy with the way it turned out, and I will pop it on. I'll pop that beanie back on, so you can, If you guys watch SNL, you know what I'm talking about.
Go ahead and pop that beanie back on if you want.
So contrary to the hats I prefer to wear, I actually enjoy a nice slouchy hat. And if I wanted to make this a little bit more slouchy, I could have added a couple more repeats to it and it'll automatically be a slouchy. But I decided to stop before it became a full-on slouch, so to speak. But yeah, it's just kind of like a very relaxed cloche. It's not like a skull cap. It doesn't like hug your head, but you know, it has just like 1x1 ribbing up here, and then it just kind of relaxes at the top, so it's, you know, just a little, it has a little bit of a slouch. But again, if you want to make it extra slouchy, you can just add a couple more repeats of the cable pattern. So, but yeah, the cable pattern is very intuitive, very easy to memorize. It incorporates beads, which will be totally optional if you do want to cast this on but are a little apprehensive about knitting with beads. Although I will say that I do have a tutorial on YouTube, which I will pop in the doobly-doo up here, that you can check out, and I basically show you how I knit with beads, and it is super easy. All you need are beads and a crochet hook and you're gold. So nothing to freak out over. But again, if you are just not into knitting with beads, it's totally fine. You can just omit them. So yeah, I am aiming to publish this I'm aiming for Black Friday, Thanksgiving, that time frame, but who knows, life might happen. But I also have to get some yarn support out to test knitters and wait for them to finish. So in hindsight, it might not be until December 1st that this pattern is released, but still plenty of time if you are thinking about knitting gifts for others. There's still plenty of time because I whipped this up in 3 days. So yeah, there's that. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that if you did join the Voolenvine Yarns Lost Reindeer Yarn Club, you are going to get a coupon code for a free download of this pattern once it's published. So I hope that makes you guys happy. And there is going to be an early bird price for this pattern as well. So just, you know, because it is Black Friday, it is, you know, 'tis the season, and I, you know, as a thank you, I want to do that for you guys. So yeah, anyway, Sparkilng Cider Hat. I am hoping to knit another one of these, like an extra slouchy version of it, in more of like a solid color, because this, let's face it, it's a Christmas hat. It's red, green, and white. That screams Christmas. But I do want to knit a non-denominational version of it, preferably in a more neutral tone, so I can get more use out of it during the winter / spring or whatever, because it is going to be a super toasty hat, you guys. So yeah, I think that is all I want to say about the Sparkilng Cider Hat. I hope you guys are excited about it. It did get a really good reception on Instagram when I posted about it. Oh, and I will be offering kits for the hat. So you'll be getting Ghostlace and Wolke, one skein of Wolke, one skein of Ghostlace together in a kit. So yeah, I hope that makes you guys happy and excited. And that is what I want to say about my Sparkilng Cider Hat. Okay, moving along, we have the Radiate Pullover, a wonderful pattern that I've been plugging away at by Joji Locatelli. And you guys, I just can't get enough of knitting on this sweater. Although I did run into a little, I don't want to say hiccup or snafu. I'm not ripping it out because it was just kind of like one of those things where I was like, huh, okay, it's not that bad, but you know, it has an interesting effect. First of all, this is my hand-dyed yarn. Again, Voolenvine yarns on my Smitten DK base. So DK Superwash Merino Nylon Cashmere. This peachy color up here, peachy lavender color up here, there's no better way to describe it, is Shallow Grave. And then this greenish, blue-green speckled color down here is Deadly Nightshade. So, these are, you know, obviously they're from two different dye lots, and when it comes to knitting with indie dyed yarn, as I mention pretty much every week, it's important to alternate your skeins every other row or so, and for that I've been doing helical knitting, which, you know, I've talked about it at length in previous episodes, so, you know, definitely check those out. But I will, again, pop a link to Grace's awesome tutorial on helical knitting up in the thing right here, doobly-doo thing, so you can check it out for yourself. But that is a method of alternating skeins in the round. But yeah, you can see here where it's not as abrupt as it would have been had I just knit it plain without doing the helical knitting or alternating skeins. So it just kind of fades right into a more busier pattern down here. I really don't mind. I think if this was like a solid color and it started shifting, I think I would rip it out. But the fact that it's, you know, hand dyed, it's speckled, it's already kind of busy, I'm gonna leave it in. And I, you know, talked about this with Emily, Slow Fashion Rebel, and she thought it looked great too. So we're gonna go with it. I'm still gonna get plenty of wear out of this pullover. It's been so fun to work on, so relaxing, and yeah, I can't wait to get it off the needle so I can wear it. Yay! All right, so that was my Radiate pullover. And now moving along to probably what you are most interested to hear about if you've been following me on the Instagram and my Instagram stories, especially. The Husbeast sweater. Yeah, the sweater that I am knitting for Dennis is, yeah. Anyway, where do I begin? Okay, so let's start at the very beginning, shall we? Dennis has been asking me to knit him a sweater for eons and eons and eons. So when we went to Maine over the summer, we stopped off at Halcyon Yarn. I think it's just Halcyon Yarns. In Maine, and I, you know, told him, I said, you know, pick out some yarn and I will knit you a sweater out of it. So I wanted it to be, you know, I could have dyed him some yarn, but at the same time, I think I wanted to knit him something a little bit more, I know rustic is not the right word, but essentially something woolly and sheepy. So he picked out this really beautiful yarn at Halcyon by Peace Fleece. And it's their worsted weight, and it's absolutely beautiful, really sheepy. You can actually feel the lanolin still in it. And again, it's Peace Fleece. It's 80% merino Rambouillet wool, and then 20% mohair. So yeah, it's really nice yarn. And we bought, I think, 9 skeins of this, 9 or 10 skeins, and yeah, it looks and feels really nice in the skein, but when you're knitting with it, it's like carving a sweater. It's like pulling teeth. And I tried, guys. I tried so hard. And the pattern that I'm actually knitting for him is the Rift Pullover, a pattern by Jared Flood of Brooklyn Tweed. And yeah, as soon as we got back from Maine in August, I cast this sucker on, and this is as far as I got with it, which is pretty far given, you know, the blood, sweat, and tears that I've been pouring into this thing. I did a tubular cast on and everything, and it's purely just stockinette in the round on the body, which should be a no-brainer. I mean, I could have been done with this in a week if I wanted to, but the yarn, just knitting with it, in order to get gauge, I had to go down, I think, 2 full needle sizes. So the pattern calls for a US size 7, and I had to go down all the way down to a US size 5, a 3.75 millimeter to get gauge. And yeah, it's a dense fabric, and it's not. I did knit a swatch, and I blocked it, and it had a really lovely hand. It wasn't going to, the sweater wasn't going to stand up on its own, so to speak. But yeah, just knitting with it was not pleasant at all, and I truly appreciate everybody that left comments suggesting that I either soak it or soak the yarn to get all the lanolin out or what have you, and I don't know. Call me lazy, I just don't want to have to do that. I just want to cast on and knit, and yeah, I know I probably could have done that, but I was not feeling the yarn at all. This yarn combination and pattern were just not meant to be. So I know that I can probably easily destash the yarn on Ravelry or set the yarn aside and cast on a totally different project with it that requires a larger needle. Such as The Weekender by Andrea Mowry. That's been on my to knit list for a while, so I might reserve this yarn for that pattern. So I talked about it with Dennis. He tried convincing me to persevere, and I was just like, not happening. But at the end of the day, I still want to knit Dennis a sweater, and he really liked the style of the Rift Pullover. So what do? You panic order some more yarn that's similar, but possibly just a little bit easier to work with. So this arrived yesterday. And in this box is a sweater quantity of Brooklyn Tweed Shelter in their cast iron colorway, which is basically black with, it's like a tweedy black, so to speak. So Already I can feel that this is going to be so much easier to work with. It's lighter, loftier, and Dennis likes the color as well. And yeah, it's been a while. I will say it's been a while since I've knit with Brooklyn tweed, and I'm generally not a huge fan of knitting with Brooklyn tweed. Again, it's personal preference, only because I find their yarns just to be a little delicate. Ooh, sorry. I find their yarns to be just a little bit delicate when I knit with them, especially Quarry, which is their chunky weight yarn or bulky weight. I was knitting a hat and it just felt like it just like puffed apart, like the strand, and I don't know. Maybe I have a gorilla grip when I knit or something. I don't know. I like to think that I don't, but who knows? Who knows? But anyway, so far so good. I did swatch last night. So here's the swatch. I have to soak it, but already it's so much nicer to work with. It just has this really lovely drape, and I believe I got gauge. It's not like I didn't block my swatch yet, so I can't be 100% sure, but just looking at it, I believe I got gauge with the US size 7 needle. So anyway, I believe that's a 4.75 millimeter needle. I could be wrong, but anyway, US size 7. I think we have a winner. I am going to cast this on over the weekend and see how far I get. But at the same time, so happy to have come to my senses and decided, no, I'm not gonna torture myself with that yarn and that pattern together. I know a lot of you said, oh, stick with it, persevere, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I don't think Dennis would appreciate a sweater that I really didn't enjoy knitting for him. I'm over it. It's done. We're casting on plan B. So very, 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 very excited about that. And I hope you guys are too, because I know you're probably tired of hearing me kvetch about it. So yeah, we are swiping that one under the rug, and we are moving along to bigger, brighter, better things. But anyway, that's what I've been working on this past week. I know I have a couple of other projects that are still on the needles that I haven't mentioned in a while, but yeah, if I didn't work on it, I'm not going to show it on the podcast. But I know I have my throwback cardigan, which is right here. I'm on Sleeve Island. However, I just have not worked on it in the past week. And yeah, again, Sleeve Island. Sleeve Island is usually always a slog, let's face it. So, but hopefully I will be able to put a little bit of a dent in that over the weekend. But yeah, in the meantime, I am going to move, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to move along to the blather segment because I don't have any sewing again to share with you this week, guys. My sewing mojo, I have the mojo, I just don't have the time to sew. So I'm hoping to squeak in a little bit of sewing over the weekend because I do want to sew up some project bags and, just for myself and just for fun, and because I do miss sewing. I love sewing so much, you guys. There just aren't enough hours in the day. So hopefully I can get in a little bit of sewing over the weekend. But, before I get into the blather segment where I chat about what's been happening in my life, just a quick heads up, just FYI, I'm no longer doing the shop update segment on the podcast just because it's a lot of time and I'm trying to keep the episode down to a reasonable length. However, if you are interested in my shop updates, I am going to have an update this Saturday, November 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you'd like to know what will be in that update, subscribe to my newsletter, which I send out every single week. I believe on Fridays. Fridays I send out a newsletter letting you know what yarns, what colorways and bases are going to be in the shop and everything Voolenvine yarns related news. So you'll even find out more about my hat pattern that I have coming out. So definitely check that out, or follow me on Instagram, in which I am at Voolenvine on there. So, but yeah, the newsletter is definitely the avenue to stay looped in about all things Voolenvine yarns. So this week, nothing major to write home about, so I thought I would just chat about what I've been watching, what I've been binge watching, and what I've been listening to as far as audiobooks and podcasts are concerned. So lately I've been binge watching Poldark season 4. I love Poldark, you guys. It is such a good series. And I get it on, I stream it on 13, I think it's channel13.com or something. Anyway, I'll pop a link to it in the description box below, but it is such a good series, and I literally binge watched the entire season. I think there are 8 like hour-long episodes in the season. So yeah, I watched those in like 3 days. Now I need something new to watch. As far as audiobooks, I have been listening to Kingdom of Ash, which is the seventh and final book in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. You guys, it is amazing. I love it. It is a long audiobook. I think it's like over 30 hours long, which is great, which is fine by me because I need something to listen to while I dye yarn. So it's been awesome just like being able to binge listen to the book, and it keeps going on and on and on, but you want to find out what happens next. And Sarah J. Maas, she's just like amazing at writing characters and worlds, and she's easily my favorite author at the moment. Like, anything she puts out is gold. That's what I've been listening to on my earbuds lately. So highly recommend them. And of course I will link to where you can find those both Poldark and A Court of Thorns and Roses and Throne of Glass series on Amazon in the description box below. So that said, I am probably going to leave it there because I've got a lot of work to do today, guys. I've got to edit this. I have to run to the grocery store because apparently there is nothing in my refrigerator, and I need sustenance. So what do? You gotta forage for food, right? Thank you so much again for hanging out with me. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe below if you want to be notified whenever I have a new episode out, which is every Friday. So yeah, happy knitting, and I'll see you next time. Bye!